Yeah, I promise you I'm working on this lighting. I gotta go back to school for this. I haven't done this in a while. We're gonna get rid of these shadows one day. You're just gonna see a perfect video. But let me get to the story. One day I was streaming on Twitch and I was just having a conversation with the people in the chat about content creation, you know, where it's going, how does it feel for you? There were some content creators in there and one of them asked me this question, hey, what is your next step as it pertains to content creation? And I told him I don't really have a next step. I enjoy what I'm doing right now. I'm having fun. I don't want to add pressures of trying to hit a next goal right now. I don't understand it. What's the point of you streaming and doing content if you're not trying to be the next partner, if you're not trying to make money off of it? My initial response, what I wanted to say to them, is because everything doesn't have to be a side hustle.
You said that.
Yeah, I said, bitch.
But I didn't say that. And in fact, no shade to this content creator either. But what I did tell them was that basically, this isn't my ultimate dream goal. My dream goal is to work in Hollywood, working on films. And although, yes, this is fun, it's a distraction. From that moment on, I learned a couple of things about my own content creation career and just others and just how everything works. One, I learned that it's a lot of content creators that are only doing this because they're trying to be the next big content creator. They want to be the Katsunats, the Pokemanes, the Jake and Logan Pauls. The other thing that I learned though,
Message,
is that the whole business model of content creation is based off of selling people a dream.
I'ma open up a store for aspiring MCs. Won't sell them no dream, but the inspiration is free. But if they ever flip
The dream that's being sold is that if you just simply work hard enough, you put X amount of time, you put X amount of money into it, you can become the next top content creator in a matter of no time. I'm not about to be the one on here to tell you that you can't make it as a content creator. There's plenty of videos that will tell you that. I'm here to tell you about the people who are straight up lying to you and why they're doing it. Just a little disclaimer that I want to put out. Not everybody who fit into these groups, except for one, are going to sell you dreams. There are people who sell dreams in every single one of these groups, if that makes sense. With that being said, let's talk about it. The first group are your companies, your businesses. Now, I get it. Businesses gotta make money. You can't really survive if you don't make money as a business. A lot of these businesses will also create great products that you can use. That's not the problem. The problem is how they market it sometimes, who they market it towards, and what they do for it. The businesses, most of the businesses, if they're smart, are not gonna come out and straight up say, you need us in order to thrive. They get this second group of people to do it.
Already packed, busy day, but...
Okay, play the audio. Play your audio so they can hear it.
They get the content creators and influencers. Another disclaimer that I need to give out. Content creators and influencers, not the same. They are not interchangeable. However, they do use the same tools to get to the same avenue sometimes even. So the best way to think about it is like your content creators, they are artists. They literally create. Your influencers are advertisers. They're just trying to get you to buy stuff or influence you to do something. The influencers and content creators, a lot of them do have partnerships with some of these companies. So they are going to tell you some things, but also just the way that humans function, they get into oftentimes where they're telling this lie about how they came up. The most common thing that you're going to see with most content creators and influencers is either A, they're going to lie about how they got it out the mud with no support and they finally made it to the top, when the truth is that they've had the resources all along to be successful or take hits in certain areas. Or B, you get them, the ones who are lying about where they really are in life. They're renting out the cars and stuff, or leasing them, I should say, to make it seem like they actually own it. Make it seem like they're higher than where they're at, when the truth is that they're not making that kind of money. They just need you to be convinced that they're making that money because they got to sell you on this course that they got. I swear to God, everybody has a course now on just the dumbest stuff on how to make money, how to be a content creator that they're trying to sell you. And none of them are even where they're at. I'm tired of courses. I'm tired of looking at these courses. Stop selling me courses. You do have a lot of people, even within the content creators and influencers, who cross the line and just go straight up into scammers. And of course, you got your scammers. It's not really much to say about the scammers. You know what they want. Your money. They don't care how they get it. They don't care what lie they got to tell, what extravagant banquet that they got to put together, whatever. They're just going to tell the lie. That's all they do. They just want your money. Let's talk about this fourth group though that we don't talk about enough. Like nobody really brings this up a lot. Except for maybe pessimists from England like John Oliver.
The lottery is in the business of selling people hope.
But it's your brain. Your brain can also sell you the dream. Now, I'm not saying this is a problem. Your brain runs off of optimism. Most people's brains do. It's okay to be optimistic about what you're getting into. You kind of need it. The problem isn't the optimism. The problem is the amount of things that sometimes your brain will just flat out ignore to make it seem like that's the reason for you to also make it as a content creator. Just to give you an example, my own personal example, there's a content creator named Cam James.
Hey.
If you haven't seen his stuff, you should check it out. He calls his series a deep dive, which also kind of gave me a little bit of inspiration to write about content creation being sold a dream. But in his videos, he talks about how he was able to come up as a content creator, not because he just got it out the mud, but he worked for a company that he worked for an advertising company, so he already knew advertising, and he was financially well-to-do. My brain didn't hear any of that, or it did hear all of that, and it just ignored it, and was like, dang, man, if he can make it, I can make it too. Either way it go, your brain can ignore certain things, certain facts. Like everybody else has pointed out, 90% of content creators will not be in the top 1%. You just can't be there. But your brain will ignore it and say, but I can be that one.
Whatever.
Money. Capitalism. They want your money.
I need about 350.
To be on a more serious note, following or chasing after these people who are selling you these dreams can lead you to spend a lot of money that you just simply don't have on content creation. And it's nothing wrong with spending money to go towards your goals. You just want to make sure that you're not spending so much to where you're broke, because the worst place to be is a broke content creator.
I'm broke.
The second thing that it does is that it can warp your expectations. There's no problem with wanting to be just a content creator who every once in a while puts stuff out. But with so many people saying that you can make all this money from it, you can get all the money, sometimes your expectations of what you should get out of it warps to, it used to be, hey, I'm just doing this for fun. Now I got to make $30,000 out of it, or this wasn't worth it. And it's honestly a lot. Those external influences can change your mind about a lot of things. And before you realize it, you're sitting up here struggling, and you didn't have to be, but because your expectations of what you wanted out of it changed. And the third thing that it can cause is depression. Obviously, when you are constantly being told by people who are lying straight up about what you need to be a successful content creator, and they've already warped your views onto what is possible with content creation, what is the average possibility with content creation, you start to feel like people don't like you. Because content creation is a thing of where you're putting something out for the world to see and you're trying to see if they want to judge you, it feels like if they don't watch it or if they don't like it, or if you have nobody watching it, honestly, that it feels like you are not good enough as a human. People not seeing your videos or your content not popping the way that you want it to could have nothing to do with you. Well, first things first, know what you're getting into. Again, I'm not here to tell you that content creation is not for most people. That 90% of people will fail. There's 1,000,001 videos that are talking about that. If you are trying to be the next top content creator, do have an understanding that there's a high possibility that you can fail, but also understand what it looks like to get to that point, or whatever you may have for your content creation. Research. I really don't like saying this, but it's the truth. You should do your research. See what the average content creator's day is like. See the average salary. Also, know what you want out of this, right? You can do anything from this, I want this to just be where I put out videos. Maybe your camera shot or just stage fright, and this helps you out with that. That's cool if you want it to be that. It's also cool if you want to be the next Castanet or Logan Paul or whatever they are. And it's also okay to change. Maybe you started off as, hey, I just have stage fright. Now I think I can actually make this into something that makes me a little bit of money. That's okay to change. When you're changing or changing your expectations or whatever it may be when you're wanting out of content creation, just be aware of what's the external influences versus what's internal. Understand that some people's journeys were a lot easier because they had way more support, and some people's journeys were a lot harder. And depending on what you're trying to get out of it anyway, your journey is going to look completely different. Create a budget and stick to it, right? The biggest thing about content creation, about all of these people, all of the businesses, the scammers, even the other content creators, influencers, is that they just want your money. At the end of the day, it does come down to capitalism and wanting your money. When you're setting up a budget for yourself, it makes it easier for you to be able to track your progress, one, but it also makes it easier for you to not put something into it that you don't have, right? It keeps you from being broke. The last one is an important one. Failure is absolutely an option. You could do all of this, get all the fancy equipment, do all the tips and tricks that they tell you, and still get nothing out of content creation. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're a failure as a person. It doesn't even mean that people don't like you. In the world of content creation, there's just way too many outside external influences that can control if you are going to succeed or if you're going to fail. And you got to be okay with that. When it comes to the whole thing about failure, right? The people that tell you that if you fail is your fault need you also to believe that, because they need to set you on a course. Before we go, I do got to leave you with one last bit of advice. It's easier to process failure if you did not put the money that you didn't have into it. It's something about the more money you put into something, the more you feel like it has to work. It's just like with gambling, right? You have a lot of people who will think that they are just on the other side of making the money that they lost back. So they keep putting in, and next thing you know, they're $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 in the hole. It kind of works as the same thing with content creation, right? You don't want to put money in that you don't have, because when you put money in that you don't have, you're more tempted to be like, well, I really have to make the money back. I cannot stress this enough. Please, please, please stick to a budget. Create a budget and stick to it. Your content creation will go so much better if you just stick to a budget. It will also help you avoid the people out here that are selling you a dream. And that's all I have for today's Whack Thesis. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment on what you think about the topic. And if you want to go further, here are 3 videos I recommend checking out talking about today's topic. Plus, these creators went further than just feelings. Cam James, The Beatdown Music Industry Scams. The Musings, I can't even say her name without laughing. The Musings of a Crouton. I have 1 million followers and I'm still a flop. And then from Ty from 99, creative courses, selling dreams as products.